legends, I hope you're all fantastic. Rather than the regularly scheduled Monday Q&A, I want to take the time today to talk a little bit about guitar gear demos and guitar gear reviews, what I see as the main differences between them, and what I think constitutes a good demo or a good review, as well as the general aims and ethos of my channel when it comes to demoing and reviewing guitar gear. It's something that I do a lot. There is a massive space on YouTube around guitar gear in general because guitar players love gear. A lot of us love to play the guitar, whether it be for fun, whether we do it professionally or as a creative outlet. But so much of what makes guitar enjoyable are the things that we use to process our guitar sounds on the way to creating glorious guitar noises. This particular video has very much been prompted by a recent episode of the Guitar Hour podcast that I watched. Highly recommend that one. I will put a link in the video description so you can check that one out. But it's all about this, let's call it an issue of maybe how people perceive the difference between a guitar gear demo and a guitar gear review. And without totally giving away the plot of that podcast, I think you should go and listen to it. There's some really well-measured and thought-out opinions on there. Essentially, the idea is that if you've received a product or you've received payment to make a video about a product, or even if you have kind of a long-standing or short-standing relationship with a manufacturer and they have let you loan some gear, you're doing a demo. You haven't gone out and spent a bunch of money or borrowed something. You're not acting independently from the manufacturer of the guitar gear there. You cannot be impartial and you really can't call what you're doing a review. And I know there's a lot of YouTube creators who will have a kind of preamble in their videos, again, along the lines of, yeah, I'm getting paid to do this, but the company doesn't watch the video and I say whatever it is that I want, which is all fair and good, and more power to you if that's what you can do. But when a manufacturer sends out a piece of gear, there's this implicit assumption that you're going to make the piece of gear sound good. And for me, I feel like manufacturers send me stuff because they know I can make it sound good. And I know that probably sounds arrogant to a lot of people and sounds totally out of touch because I know there's a lot of people that don't like the sounds that I pull. And that's totally fine. Guitar and guitar noises are not meant to be some kind of objective good, bad exercise. So much about what makes music and what makes the guitar sounds we use in music exciting is that what one person can feel is an amazing sound, another person just simply won't get. And I don't ever want that to change about music. That's what makes it really, really amazing. Having said that, if you like what I do and you like the sounds that I make and you're a manufacturer and you're willing to send me a piece of gear and often pay the video production fee that I charge because it takes me time and effort to produce videos, I'm producing a demo for you. I'm not reviewing this piece of gear. If I go out and buy a piece of gear, which I often do, I love buying gear as much as the next person out there, and I have very specific tastes, and like a lot of people who watch gear demos and gear reviews, I have hopes and expectations with products, and if they meet that or they fail to meet that and I'm doing a review video, I need to mention that. So with that, I think we can firmly establish the difference between a demo and a review. And there's a lot of people out there calling their videos reviews that are not reviews. They're demos. They have relationships with the manufacturers, or they're being paid, or they're receiving free gear. Now, it is not only unethical, but it is illegal in most countries now to not disclose that. And whether something is unethical because it's illegal or whether something is illegal because it's unethical, they're different things, but nevertheless, those two things are in place there. YouTube actually makes it incredibly easy to disclose this. When you upload a video, there's a little section in the YouTube studio where you can say, this video contains paid promotion. And the definition of paid promotion is you're either charging a fee for the video or you have received some free stuff. Happens a lot. This is what happens when you have a lot of subscribers or you get a lot of views or a manufacturer sees that people really trust what you're doing online. Essentially, they are paying for access to your audience. And they're also, in a way, trying to buy trust. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that keeps people coming back to my channel, or Pete Thorne's channel, or Plagueside Studios, or John Cordy, or Tom Quayle's channel, is the fact that people have watched enough of these people do their thing, and they like what they do, and they see that they can play a lot of the time, or that their opinions or their analysis is accurate. I shouldn't say opinions are accurate. Maybe their opinions are well measured and the analysis that they do is accurate. Nevertheless, there's a level of trust there that takes a lot of time to build up with your fan base and the people who watch your videos and subscribe and sign up to your Patreon and sit through the demos. So for me, and I can only speak for myself here, that trust is invaluable. It is so hard to build and it is so easy to lose, which is why if I'm doing a demo video, I want to lay out all the possibilities. I want to go through all the functions. I want to explore as many sounds as possible, but I don't want to sit here and have to tell you that I think something sounds good, because if something sounds terrible, I am not a very good actor. My face gives everything away. When I'm digging something, you can see it on my face. When I'm not into something, I feel like you can see it on my face. And most importantly, you can hear it on the video. This is the great thing, in my opinion, about, let's call it Geartube, as opposed to, say, magazines. When I was growing up, you could only read about new gear, and you probably trusted the people at Guitarist magazine or the people at Guitar World, that they see a lot of stuff and they get to try it out. But you can't hear the end result with print media. You can hear the end result on YouTube, and that's without going into the issues or the perceived issues around what YouTube does to audio and how a signal chain is set up and all these other factors. This stuff is complicated. I'm not saying that you can't understand it, because most people who watch gear demo videos on the internet are generally pretty intelligent. Most guitar players are really in touch with what they're doing. They can smell a rat, so to say, and a lot of the time your ears can tell you immediately when something isn't sounding quite right. So there's that aspect of it. There's the trust aspect, and manufacturers, when they're launching products, they want access to that trust. It's pretty hard to access though, because if you make a product that is average at best, and you send it out to all the trusted YouTube reviewers, and it sounds average at best, the people who watch those videos, and if you're like me and you're going to go and buy something, you're probably going to watch lots and lots of videos to get a kind of balanced perspective on there. Or, you're going to hear the Leon Todd video and it's going to focus on distortion and big spatial effects. Maybe you want to go and check out the Mike Herman's video where everything is, let's say, a little more tasteful, and you're going to get some other styles represented on there. That's just something that I would do, and I expect most people do. So the thing that I see happening is a misrepresentation by some manufacturers trying to kind of drive a wedge between the audience and the people making the videos, that like, oh, well, we didn't send them free gear and suddenly they just stopped giving us glowing reviews. That's fine. You don't have to send out free gear when you launch a product. I think a really good example of this is the recent Hologram Chroma console. Hologram have built a lot of trust with their audience by making fantastic products. Another good example would be Fractal Audio. Fractal Audio, often get accused of being cult-like by their users, but the fact is they've kind of changed our perception of what to expect from a modeling device. Lots and lots of free updates. Like lots and lots of free updates. Once you buy one of those boxes, you don't have to pay for updates like you used to have to with older units, and nearly every modeling company out there now does a similar thing. So that's kind of cool. That's good for the end user. And anytime a firmware update comes out, because I started out making Fractal Audio tutorials on my channel, my audience now expects to see a video about that firmware update, and it's something that I'm always excited to make. It's not a company saying, hey, Leon, we just put something out. It would be awesome if you did a video. But at the same time, I do have bias there. I'm a long-standing user of the products. I'm a beta tester, or a beta tester if you want it pronounced properly, and I make paid videos for their European distributor. So I'm not impartial there, and that's fairly obvious. Look at how many videos I make with the Axe Effects as opposed to any other modeling unit out there. Like, it kind of makes sense that I'm into it. And hopefully that comes across with the videos, and hopefully the people who own these products and are trying to dial them in can trust me when I tell them that I really like something or that they should try something out. It's not about, again, that objective element saying, no, this thing is good and this thing is bad. I'm in no position to really do that. And I think there's a lot of other channels out there that do that type of video so much better. One of my favorite channels is my buddy Ryan at Plagueside Studios. He doesn't upload anywhere near as regularly as anybody else, but far out, the videos are just jam-packed with data and analysis and really well thought out, balanced opinions. And, he does the occasional kind of fun video every now and then where he basically does what I'm doing right here, which just puts together an opinion piece. But if you watch one of his hour-long in-depth videos with a particular classic amp or pedal or a new plugin, it's pretty exhaustive. There's not a lot of that kind of op-ed, well, my experience tells me that this is good and this is bad. It's like, hey, you want the data? Here it is. Leo Gibson is another person I really admire who basically goes out, buys every new modeler, and then posts the latency figures, posts aliasing tests on there, is a fantastic player, plays their style on all his videos and just kind of, puts out a video that's easy to digest, easy to get the facts from, but still leaves in that element of what makes a piece of Geartube enjoyable, which is ultimately cool guitar sounds. So yeah, this whole thing, I listened to that Guitar Hour podcast episode. I really kind of found myself listening along and having a bunch of things that I wanted to say about it. So this is pretty much what I wanted to say about it. I would be more than happy to go on the podcast because I really like those guys and I've been on before and it was a super fun hang. So maybe that's something we can do in the future or do a gear podcast episode crossover. But this is going to be the kind of last big meandering point, I promise. If you've watched this far, I appreciate it. There is a section in that video where Tom Quayle is talking about video game reviews. For example, popular video game reviewers who always go out and buy a license, then put up videos reviewing the game. That works really well, say when it comes to guitar plugins, because nearly every manufacturer of a plugin now offers a 2-week or a month-long trial of their product. So someone like me can see a company like Neural DSP put an archetype out, or FabFilter put a reverb plugin out, or another company put a cool EQ or an IR loader out. And without having to do anything to do with the company, I can just basically give them my email address and get access to this plugin. Then I can go and make a review video. Whereas if a company approaches me and says, hey, we've got a new plugin, we'd love it if you did a video about it. What are the kind of terms and conditions and how can we get on your channel? That's a demo. And I've done both types of videos on here. The big sticking point on here, and this is what makes it difficult to get a lot of reviews rather than demos, is guitars, amplifiers, and pedals are hardware. And hardware is expensive to manufacture. And it's also expensive to try to go out and buy every single piece of hardware. I mean, look at the stuff behind me. It's an insane collection of stuff, but it would barely scratch the surface of the new gear that kind of comes out every single month. Having said that, there are people willing to put their money where their mouth is. I mentioned Plagueside Studios earlier. Ryan's videos are really rich in data and analysis, which I think is super important. It's a special skill set to be able to do what he does. And anytime he puts out a brand new video, I watch all of it because I learned something in the process. John Cordy is another great example where John will go out and buy the latest modeler, guitar or amp, and put up a video that is chock full of amazing playing. I learned so much by trying to play John's licks and going through his lessons and just listening to his opinion. I really value and respect his opinion when it comes to gear because he has built up a track record of doing this. There is a lot of trust in there. You can't just pull that out of thin air. Furthermore, I kind of like the model John has gone with where you can see that his videos are sponsored by TrueFire. So you get a little ad read at the start of it about TrueFire, but then the video will be unrelated to that. And that seems to be something that people in the guitar space shy away from. It is so common in the tech space. It is so common in the gaming space and so many other spaces. I think it's actually an awesome way to do it. Patreon is another great way to do it. And I've been talking about guitar creators. I think the coffee space is an amazing analogy to make here. If you're into coffee, you're probably aware of James Hoffman, and James seems to have found the way to do this. He's got an amazing following on YouTube, like far larger than just about anybody in the guitar space will likely ever have. But what James does is, in the space of like coffee machines and hardware and stuff that is expensive and hard to access, he funds it with his Patreon. So if you want to see a review for a new coffee maker, you can help make that happen by joining James's Patreon, and then he'll do the review. Again, he has no affiliation with the manufacturer, so it is a review, and then he will give it away to his patrons, which I think is absolutely amazing. Another person who has an awesome channel that I've learned a lot about coffee from is Sprometheus, and there's Lance Hedrick as well. These are guys who make fantastic videos. A lot of the time, they will do videos like that are kind of independent and funded by their fan base. They will also do the demos, and I've learned a lot from the paid demos as well. So I think that particular space is a great analogy for where the guitar space could go. And rather than having to put up like 20-minute long videos talking about the differences between demos and reviews, whether it's just semantic or whether there's something in it, I feel like it's something that really should be acknowledged and people should be educated about. And then we can move forward and go and make great content and hopefully make guitar and guitar gear better and more accessible for everybody. That is the end game with all of this. Manufacturers are trying to come out with cool products that will make it better and easier to make music for the people who want to buy them. People like myself in this position where, I'm going to use the word influencer, which is a dirty word, but I have received hundreds of messages over the years from people saying, hey, I went and bought a fractal, or I went and bought this pedal, or I bought this plugin because I watched your video. And that means a lot to me. That is massive, to know that people trust what I'm doing and they respect my opinion enough to go and actually spend their hard-earned money. That is massive. That is something I definitely do not take for granted. And to everybody who has done that, who supports me on Patreon, who's gone and bought some of the music that I make with my band Ragdoll, I massively, massively appreciate it. I can't stress that enough. But anyway, I feel like we've come to the end. Like a demo, you've got something free, you've been paid, you've got a relationship with the manufacturer. A review, you went and borrowed it, or you spent your own money on it, and there is going to be some critical analysis, hopefully some data, hopefully some opinions in there. A demo, just because you're being paid doesn't mean that it is going to be any less worthy. It's just going to be worthy in a different way. So when I'm doing paid demos, I want to go through all the features. I want to represent the product so that you can watch it and either go, yeah, that's pretty awesome, I want to check it out. Or you can go, you know what? I didn't like the way Leon sounded on this. Maybe I'll go and watch a few other videos before I make up my mind, but yeah, maybe it's not for me. So I think that's what the difference is. That's what I'm certainly trying to do here on YouTube. And all the people that I've mentioned in this video, I'll put links to their YouTube channel in the video description, because the more the merrier when it comes to this. The more voices, the better. And I think you should go and subscribe to all of these people because they make amazing music, they make amazing videos, and I think they deserve your trust and your respect. For now, I'm going to have another cup of rooibos tea and I'm going to make some more guitar noises. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.